The video ain't really the issue. The video being posted up on social media is the issue. If someone would have sent her that video privately, she and I would have had one conversation about it, and it would have...
They heard me say it. I said that. If I was on there, I said that.
Turn around, please. You did not.
Shekinah, you stopped them and I said the same. You asked me, do you think I'm happier that you asked me the question and I answered it? So why would you sit there and say that?
Because I am happy.
But why would you sit there and say that I ain't say that?
Because you didn't.
I think she's happy. Yes, I did.
It wasn't loud and clear.
Tell me. Yeah? Tell me what's going on right there. What's going on?
Welcome back. Atlanta didn't just wake up to drama. It woke up to an explosion, a scandal so wild it felt ripped straight out of a movie, except this one was painfully real and way too personal. Clifford T.I. Harris, the self-proclaimed king of the South, suddenly found himself caught in the middle of chaos that could crush everything he'd ever built. It all started when a flood of leaked files, medical records, private DMs, and even shaky audio clips hit social media like a wildfire no one could put out. The bombshell, allegations that Shekinah Anderson was pregnant, and the man in question wasn't some random fling. No, the whispers screamed one name, T.I. himself. The internet went nuclear. Hashtags like hashtag Shekinah pregnant.
You said that.
Let me ask you somebody who know me for real, right? Who really know me.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what you wanna hear.
I think you have.
Do you think I'm like from
What she got?
I think she's happy.
Hashtag DNA for T.I. and hashtag Justice for Tiny took over Twitter and TikTok overnight for fans who had defended Tiny through years of drama. This wasn't just tea. This was pure betrayal. Then came the moment that broke everyone's hearts. Tiny stepped forward, mascara running, hands trembling, voice cracking, but still holding her head high. Standing under blinding camera flashes, she said the words that made time stop. I want a DNA test. I deserve the truth. My family deserves the truth. That one sentence flipped the entire scandal on its head. This was no longer just messy gossip or shady blog talk. This was a wife demanding receipts. The clip of Tiny breaking down.
The video ain't really the issue. The video being posted up on social media is the issue. If someone would have sent her that video privately, she and I would have had one conversation about it, and it would have...
Clutching tissues as tears streamed down her face became the image of every woman who's ever been lied to, played, or publicly humiliated. In that moment, Tiny wasn't just a singer or reality TV star. She became the voice of every heartbroken wife across the world, every shattered home, every broken promise. The internet didn't just gossip, it grieved with her. The pain was too raw to scroll past. And just when it seemed things couldn't get uglier, boom, the alleged medical report surfaced online, and the detail that made jaws drop, the conception date lined up perfectly with T.I.'s stay at an Atlanta hotel. That one line turned whispers into proof, and suddenly the music world froze. Reporters gasped, influencers scrambled to go live. Fans flooded comment sections like they were witnessing the fall of royalty. Tiny, unable to handle the emotional weight, reportedly fainted during a tense family confrontation.
They heard me say it. I said that. If I was on there, I said that.
Turn around, please. You did not.
Shekinah, you stopped them and I said the same. You asked me, do you think I'm happier that you asked me the question and I answered it? So why would you sit there and say that?
Because I am happy.
But why would you sit there and say that I ain't say that?
Because you didn't.
I think she's happy. Yes, I did.
It wasn't loud and clear.
Tell me. Yeah? Tell me what's going on right there. What's going on?
While T.I.'s Instagram went dead silent. No posts, no captions, no stories, just silence. But this kind of silence wasn't peace. It was pressure, the kind that screams louder than any denial ever could. Fans took T.I.'s quiet retreat as a confession without words, and suddenly, the internet turned into a full-blown crime scene of speculation. And just when it felt like the drama had peaked, boom! A whistleblower stepped out of the shadows with so-called receipts. Alleged screenshots of Shekinah messaging a close friend surfaced, where she supposedly admitted that if the DNA test results went public, T.I. would lose everything. His wife, his career, his empire. That leak flipped the entire situation from messy gossip to a full-scale disaster. Social media turned into a battleground. Some users called Shekinah a manipulator who shattered a family for clout, while others defended her as a woman trapped in a dangerous love triangle she never meant to start. But no matter what side you stood on, one thing was crystal clear. The Harris empire was falling apart right before everyone's eyes, and it was happening live for the world to watch. Then came the day that felt like the final act of a blockbuster drama. The courtroom showdown. Paparazzi swarmed the courthouse steps like bees to honey. Protesters held up signs yelling, "Justice for Tiny." And curious fans crowded outside like it was a red carpet event. Inside, though, the air was thick with tension, heavy enough to choke on. Tiny sat with her legal team, hands trembling as she clutched a wad of tissues, face pale, but eyes burning with quiet fury. Shekinah entered next, heavily guarded, looking torn between guilt and defiance, like she knew there was no walking out clean from this storm. And finally, T.I. appeared, once the untouchable king of the South, now a man stripped of power, waiting for judgment to land like a hammer. When the judge called out the case, Tiny versus Clifford Harris and Shekinah Anderson, DNA and betrayal, the whispers alone nearly shook the walls. This wasn't just family drama anymore. This was betrayal being written into hip-hop history. The courtroom turned into chaos as evidence began to drop. Reporters scribbled like mad, cameras flashed non-stop, and fans in the gallery leaned forward, hearts racing. And then it happened, the moment no one was ready for. The audio file played through the speakers, a grainy clip that allegedly captured T.Y.'s voice, whispering words so shocking the entire room gasped in disbelief. "Don't worry, Shekinah. If this comes out, I'll handle Tiny. Just trust me." The moment those words echoed through the courtroom speakers, the entire room froze. You could hear a pin drop. Tiny's body trembled like she'd just been hit by lightning. She shot to her feet, eyes filled with tears, and her voice cracked as she screamed, "You destroyed me! You destroyed our family!" Seconds later, her strength gave out and she collapsed into her daughter's arms, sobbing uncontrollably. Cameras flashed like fireworks, capturing an image that would soon flood every news outlet and social feed in the world. The heartbroken queen of a fallen empire. Outside, Atlanta was chaos. Protesters screamed, "Justice for Tiny!" and "DNA doesn't lie" at the top of their lungs, while others aimed their anger at Shekinah, chanting, "Snake! Snake!" Police were forced to hold the crowd back as emotions hit boiling point. News anchors dubbed it the greatest betrayal in hip-hop history, and TikTok blew up overnight. Fans in tears, duets reacting in disbelief, and memes everywhere mocking T.I. as a fraud. Some painted Tiny as a heroine reborn from ashes, the woman who lost everything but stood tall anyway. Others couldn't decide if Shekinah was a manipulative mastermind or just another pawn in a game that went way too far. But no one, not a single person, was ready for what came next. The clerk stepped up, visibly shaking, holding that sealed envelope like it was dynamite. Every breath in the room held still as he read the results. Clifford Harris, known publicly as T.I., is the biological father of Shekinah Anderson's child, with 99.9% certainty. The words hit like a bomb. Gasps turned into chaos. Tiny screamed from the floor, voice breaking apart as she cried, "Why, Clifford? Why would you do this to me? To us?" Her daughter wept beside her, clutching her hand while Shekinah burst into tears, yelling, "I never wanted this. He promised me everything." The scene turned into madness. Tiny snatched a water bottle and hurled it toward Shekinah, shouting through tears, "You destroyed my life! My children's home! Don't you dare act like a victim!" The judge slammed the gavel over and over, but the room had already exploded. Fans inside screaming, reporters running over benches just to get the story first. Within minutes, the internet was on fire. Hashtags like #TheBombshell, #TinyBroken, and #CancelT. I topped trends worldwide. News networks dropped all programming to cover the chaos, and every gossip show turned the scandal into their headline of the night. Late-night hosts cracked cruel jokes, while hip-hop commentators called it the most disgraceful downfall of a rap legend ever seen. But just when people thought the storm couldn't get worse, another gut punch dropped. A leaked video surfaced online, allegedly showing T.I. laughing and drinking with friends just days before the trial. As if nothing had happened, the clip spread like wildfire, turning heartbreak into pure outrage. The king of the South had fallen, and this time, there was no throne left to return to. Tiny ain't going nowhere. She can cry, she can sue, but she'll always need me. Shekinah? Man, she's just another piece of the puzzle. Those words hit the internet like dynamite. Within hours, clips of T.I. allegedly bragging spread across every platform imaginable, and fans were furious. Comment sections lit up with outrage, calling him a narcissist, a master manipulator, and a king who mocked the very queen who built his empire. The mighty Harris brand started bleeding out fast, and the downfall looked unstoppable. His record label released a short, icy statement that said it all. "We are reviewing our relationship with Clifford Harris following recent revelations. Just like that, sponsorships disappeared overnight. Endorsements vanished. Old friends stopped answering calls. The man who once ran Atlanta's streets like royalty was suddenly radioactive. Meanwhile, Tiny transformed from the betrayed wife into the tragic heroine everyone rallied behind. Her public statement melted hearts across the world. Through tears but standing tall, she said, "I never thought I'd see the day my family name would be dragged through this. But I will rise, I will fight, and I will make sure my children know the truth about the man who broke our home." Her words hit different. Fans flooded social media with messages of love and strength, crowning her Queen Tiny. Outside her home, supporters held signs reading, "We stand with Tiny," and "She rose from the ashes." Her pain had turned her into a symbol of resilience, the woman who refused to be broken by betrayal. But while Tiny found strength, Shekinah's world completely crumbled. Hate poured in from every direction. Death threats in her inbox, angry protesters outside her home, and cruel comments chasing her across every post she made. In a heartbreaking Instagram live, she sobbed through tears. "I didn't destroy that family. He did. He told me he loved me. He told me he'd leave Tiny. And now I'm the one paying the price. I can't even walk outside without being called a monster." Her breakdown went viral, but it didn't change a thing. The internet had already picked its villain. Shekinah was branded the other woman, the homewrecker, the woman who single-handedly brought down the Harris dynasty. Whether she was a victim or a co-conspirator didn't matter anymore. The public had spoken, and the verdict was brutal. Then came the final strike that sealed the saga once and for all. Tiny filed for divorce. Official court documents revealed she was demanding full custody of their children, half of TY's empire, and damages for emotional trauma. The empire that once seemed untouchable was now being split in two, piece by piece. And as news of the filing spread, one thing became clear. The king of the South had lost his crown, his castle, and the queen who once fought beside him. The leaked court documents hit the internet like a tidal wave, pages filled with phrases that painted a brutal picture of betrayal. They described T1's actions as repeated deception, public humiliation, and irreparable emotional damage. Those words alone were enough to shake the industry to its core. Paparazzi caught Tiny leaving the courthouse in oversized sunglasses, trying to hide her swollen eyes, her children close by her side. That single photo told 1,000 stories: heartbreak, strength, and finality. Within hours, it was plastered across every major tabloid with headlines screaming, "Tiny ends it all. DNA bombshell destroys the Harris family." By nightfall, the Harris empire had officially crumbled. T.I. sat alone in his massive mansion, surrounded by silence, his phone flooded with threats and missed calls, while the world crowned Tiny as the queen who had survived the storm. She became the embodiment of grace under fire, the woman who walked through betrayal and came out unbreakable. But the scandal didn't fade. It twisted, spread, and morphed like a nightmare that refused to end. Rumors exploded across social media that T.I. had lost over $30 million in brand deals and contracts. Whispers followed that Tiny was secretly working on a tell-all memoir, ready to expose every hidden betrayal, every late-night message, every unspoken truth. Meanwhile, insiders claimed Shekinah was planning to flee Atlanta altogether, desperate to escape the chaos she was being blamed for. The dynasty that had once represented success, family, and power was now nothing but ashes. A cautionary tale of fame turned toxic. The world couldn't look away. Every headline, every update felt like another episode in a reality show gone too far. And when the dust finally started to settle, one thing was undeniable. This wasn't just another messy celebrity breakup. This was a collapse of an empire. T.I., once hailed as the king of the South, now sat alone in the ruins of his kingdom. The same streets that had once praised his hustle were now whispering his downfall. Friends stopped calling. Business partners quietly backed away. Even the ones who used to defend him in interviews were now avoiding his name entirely. The man who built an empire was now watching it decay, brick by brick. Meanwhile, Tiny's story transformed completely. She was no longer just the rapper's wife. She was the survivor. The world had turned her pain into power. Everywhere she went, cameras followed, not to mock, but to celebrate her strength. Fans flooded the sidewalks holding signs that read, "Queen Tiny forever," and she rose from the wreckage. People weren't just sympathizing, they were inspired. Tiny had turned devastation into a movement, showing the world that even when betrayal burns everything down, a true queen learns how to rise from the ashes and shine even brighter. For Shekinah, life turned into a living nightmare. She was no longer just part of a scandal. She was the villain in the story everyone loved to hate. Her name flooded timelines with venom. Protesters gathered outside her home day and night, chanting that she'd destroyed a family. Online, her DMs overflowed with threats, slurs, and messages so vicious that stepping outside became a risk. In one emotional live stream, Shekinah broke down crying, "He told me he loved me. He told me he'd leave Tiny. And now I'm the one taking all the hate." But the world didn't care anymore. To most, she wasn't the victim. She was the spark that burned down the entire house. Whether that judgment was fair or cruel didn't matter. Her image was permanently scarred. Industry whispers claimed she was planning to leave Atlanta for good, maybe even change her name and disappear to start over somewhere no one knew her face. In a leaked audio snippet, she confessed through tears, "I can't even walk down the street without someone spitting at me or calling me a monster." And just like that, her story faded away. Not with closure, but with silence. A forgotten ghost of one of hip-hop's darkest chapters. Tiny, though, she moved differently. Her next steps were precise, powerful, and calculated like a queen taking back her throne. The divorce filing was just the beginning. She wasn't only demanding half of T.Y.'s empire and full custody of their children, she was gearing up for something far louder. Rumors swirled that Tiny was working on a tell-all memoir, one that would rip the lid off years of hidden betrayals, secret affairs, and the lies swept neatly under the Harris family rug. The industry trembled at the thought. Fans buzzed with wild anticipation, desperate to finally hear her side, unfiltered, raw, and real. Talk shows, podcasts, and entertainment blogs lined up for interviews. Every word Tiny spoke turned into a headline within minutes. She wasn't just the heartbroken wife anymore. She had become the phoenix rising, a tragic heroine turned victor, reclaiming her voice after years of being silenced. The louder T.I. tried to hide, the louder her truth echoed across the internet. Her narrative took control of the story, painting her as the survivor, the woman who rebuilt herself from the wreckage. Meanwhile, T.I. spiraled into one of the harshest downfalls hip-hop had seen in decades. Reports confirmed he'd lost over $30 million in contracts, endorsements, and deals. Sponsors ghosted him. Collaborators distanced themselves, and even his label went ice cold, refusing to back his next project. The once celebrated King of the South was now standing alone. No label, no empire, no allies. Watching as the woman he underestimated became the voice of millions. In the end, Tiny rose from the ashes with the world behind her, while T.I. became the cautionary tale of what happens when ego blinds loyalty and love turns into legend, the kind that scars forever. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to stay in the loop with all the latest tea. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update, and I'll catch you in the next video.